So I've come across a few videos over the last couple weeks about the Pod Go, and they have these sensationalized titles like, can the Pod Go handle X or Y, bass, metal, whatever. And it's like, of course it can. Of course it can. I get it. It's just silly means to try and get clicks and views on your video. I understand that, but it's a little disingenuous. No? Yeah? I don't know. One that really stood out to me, and I'm not going to crap on anybody's videos or channels, but the question was, can the Pod Go handle bass? And it was more geared towards metal and heavy stuff. And the bass tone that was demonstrated was not very good, in my opinion. Or the mix was just, there was something about it. It wasn't a very good demonstration of what this thing is capable of doing. And I, have created a preset pack for the Pod Go. It's available on my webpage. The bass tone that I got out of this thing is as good as the one that I'm capable of getting out of the full-size Helix. So I don't quite understand why there's still a debate. I think it's, like I said, just people wanting to get views. So in the interest of me wanting to get views off of those people wanting to get views, I made this video. So what I did is I created a bass tone and a heavy rhythm tone, and I recorded a chunk of a song that I've been working on. You've heard it in a few of my videos. It's something that I'm working on, but it's not complete. So it's the perfect use case to record over and over again in different scenarios. And this is another one. Pod Go, rhythm, bass. Let's hear how it sounds. If you're into guitars, riffs, mixing, and everything in between, hit subscribe and follow along. All right, so let's take a look at what we did. Let's listen to the guitars and the bass isolated, and then we'll go over the tones really quick and show you, what I've been saying, what this thing can do. Let's dive in. Put the headphones on. All right, so listen to a chunk in the mix. So that's the guitars. I have a little bit of processing going on each of the main guitar tracks. I have a Fab Filter Pro Q3, and what I'm doing is I'm rolling off some high end, rolling off some of the low rumble, controlling the palm mutes with the compression feature inside of Pro Q, and then cutting out some of that whistly sound. So let's listen to what it sounds like with and without, all right? So you can hear that this is really cleaning that up. We're just cleaning up the overall guitar tone, and you could probably do this within the Podgo with the EQ block, but you have a little more granular control inside of a DAW using something like Pro Q. And then I also have Pro Q on the bus, just rolling off more high end. Just, keeping that under control. Cool. And let's listen to the bass. Not the best playing in the world, but now it looks pretty drastic, and I'll give it to you. Maybe it is, but this is what I'm doing to kind of clean up the bass tone. I noticed when I use the Obsidian 7000, which is the Helix version or Line 6's rendition of the B7K by Dark Class, it adds a lot of really harsh high end, and it's just the way I set it up, I'm sure. But I like that high end, so I have to control it. And that's what we're doing with this EQ. So I'll do before and after, or with and without. So this is really doing the most, these really precision cuts. This is just a little bit of kind of a farty range that I wanted to get rid of. And I have a tilt kind of boosting the low end, and then I'm also boosting the low end with this bell curve right here. And then I'm running into the L1 limiter by Waves just to kind of really flatten everything out, make it very consistent. You can see it's pretty much always doing something. And I always do this with bass, especially in a real heavy dense mix or a metal mix for sure. Let's listen to it all together. Sounds pretty good. Again, I didn't do too much processing on the tracks, and The bass obviously looks a little bit extreme, but it's just controlling resonant frequencies, controlling the whistles from all the distortion, all the high end gain. And admittedly, I could probably do a little bit better of sculpting it within the Pod Go, but the point of this was I created both of these tones in 15 minutes. And the reason I did it this way is just because I wanted to just show this thing is overwhelmingly capable. So let's switch gears and go over the 2 presets I made. So let's real quick go over this bass tone. Again, I just kind of basically took a lot of the settings from the full-size Helix, my preferred bass tone that I've used on a lot of my music, and kind of applied it to this. Now, the first thing you'll notice is I don't have the input gate on, which is admittedly probably a mistake. I meant to have it on. We're not doing anything with these 2 expression blocks. These are there by default. Then we're going into, like I said, a distortion block, the Obsidian 7000, and the settings are as follows. The drive is at 10, the level is at 6, the blend is at 7.9, the grunt is set to cut, the attack is set to boost, and then I have the master at 5.5. The bass is plus 3 dB. Then I have the low-mid frequency set to 250 hertz, and that low-mid gain is set to negative 3.5 dB, okay? The high-mid frequency is at 3K. I then have that high-mid gain at negative 4.6, and then the treble is at plus 1 dB, and the distortion is overwhelmingly and obviously on. Then I'm running into a noise gate after the pedal. Decay is down to 10 milliseconds. Then we're running into the Ampeg SVT4 Pro. The drive is set to 5. The bass is set to 0.2. The mid is set to 5.5. I have the mid frequency set to number 4. I have treble at 6.2. Channel volume is at 10. That's going to be completely dependent on your particular setup. The master is at 7.5. The ultra low, the ultra high, the bright, and the EQ are all on. And then the EQ is as follows: 33 hertz, 0 dB, 80 hertz, plus 2.5 dB, 150 hertz, minus 2.8 dB, 300 hertz, minus 1.4 dB, 600 hertz, 0.3 dB, 900 hertz is at 0. It's level, it's even. 2K is at plus 1 dB. 5K is negative 0.3 dB. 8K is at plus 4.5 dB. Now, that's probably where a lot of that real high-end whistly stuff is coming from. And if I spent a little bit more time, and you can sculpt this and make it a little better right out of the Pod Go. So from this, we're going into the cab, which is the 4x10 Ampeg HLF. It's a stock Helix or Pod Go cab block. It's using the 421 dynamic microphone at 1 inch. The low cut is at 20 hertz. The high cut is at 8K. Early reflection is 0%, and the level is 0.0 dB. That is default settings. Then I'm running into the EQ. I have it enabled. I have the parametric EQ selected, and I'm using it to bring the high cut down to 14K. To believe it or not, try and control some of those whistles and high-end stuff. Then I'm running into a compressor, the LA Studio compressor, and this again has a lot to do, if not everything to do, with your bass, the pickups, your playing style. All of that is going to come into play. So basically what I'm saying is these settings are pretty much irrelevant. I'll give them to you anyhow. Peak reduction is at 4.9. The gain is at 5.5. It's set to compress. The emphasis is 0.9, 0.9. The mix is at 100%. And then I have the level at negative 9.8 dB. Just because of the way I have it running into my audio interface, that's what I needed to do. Cool, and that's the bass tone. Yeah, again, I kind of just real quick try to create something based on my go-to Helix bass tone. And so let's go over the guitar tone now. On this, I do have the input gate on, and that is, the decay is down to 10 milliseconds, the default threshold. Nothing for the expression pedals. Then we're running into the Scream 808 distortion block. Gain is at 0, tone is at 7, the level is at 10. Very typical. I'm running into another noise gate just because of the real trotty, the staccato kind of vibe. You can create a snapshot, you can omit this, you can, tweak it to your particular pickups, your playing style, your hand. You have to experiment. You can't just take this stuff verbatim, and it's not going to always apply. So I have another noise gate set up. The threshold is at negative 76, so it's not doing a ton. It's just really kind of cleaning up the stuff in between the notes that I don't want. Then I have the amp block is a line 6 Badunk, real big shocker here. But again, I wanted to go to something I knew how to create, I knew how to use, and create it quickly. I didn't base this off anything. I've just used this amp block so much, and I'm super familiar with Helix platform by now that, I just can make a decent sounding tone pretty quickly. So let's go over it. The drive is at 5.4, the bass is at 3.3, the mid is at 4.0, the treble is at 6.2, the presence is at 6.3, the channel volume is at 8.5. Again, that's going to be dependent on your particular setup. The master I have up to 5.4, the depth is at 0.5, the sag and the bias are both at 5.0. Those are default settings, I believe, and the bias X I adjusted down to 4.1. And then we're running into the 4x12 Cali V30, a stock line 6 cab. The mic is the 160 ribbon mic. The distance is at 3 inches, that's default. The low cut is at 80 hertz, the high cut is at 8K. I also believe those are default settings when loading up this block. So I just loaded up this cab and we were good to go. As a matter of fact, it might have loaded automatically when I switched to the Badunk. I have the EQ, parametric EQ enabled here in the EQ block, and again, I'm just using it for the high cut down to 12.1K. And then I'm using the legacy room reverb just to give it a little bit of space, a little bit of vibe, and that's it. And, again, like I mentioned, I kind of like repeating myself again, but I took like 15 minutes, 20 minutes tops just to create these tones, because I know what this thing is capable of. It's overwhelmingly capable. It's very robust. You can use it as an audio interface. It's built like a tank. It's got an expression pedal. It pretty much has everything you need. So don't sleep on this thing. If you're looking for some affordable way to get into the Helix platform, definitely it's worth taking a look at, for sure. And it's more than capable of creating mix-ready and highly produced guitar tones, in my opinion, but I'm biased, right? I'm a shill for line 6. They don't pay me, they don't even know me. So take your snotty opinions and shove them up your... All relating information and links can be found in the description down below. And if you found this video helpful, hit subscribe and stay up to date. That's it, dudes. I hope you dig it. I hope you like it. I'm gonna give these to you guys. They'll be down. There will be a link down in the description below to these free presets for you guys for the Podgo only. Don't message me complaining or asking if they work on the Helix. This is for the Podgo. I don't know if that's apparent or super obvious. This is a Podgo video. Love you guys. Cool. I hope you guys found this video useful or helpful or at least somewhat entertaining. And if you didn't, I don't care, because if you're still watching it, I got that view, baby. All kidding aside, thank you so much for being here. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate the support. If you're looking for other ways to support me, the channel, and what I do here, I of course have music for sale on Bandcamp and streaming everywhere music is streamed. I also have links to pieces of various merch down in the description below. We got stuff for the channel, we got stuff for Wells, my project with my buddy Steven. It's all available. Links are down in the description below. A huge and continued shout out to those of you supporting me on Patreon and of course here as members on YouTube. I really appreciate you guys. I appreciate your patience in dealing with me and my trying to find exactly what I want to do with the channel going forward. Because of that, I've been lacking a little bit in the the perks and the presets, and I have them stockpiling. It's just a matter of sitting down, making some time to get those to you guys. So I really do appreciate your continued support. And I'm sorry I've been sucking lately, but I love you. I hope you're all doing well. Stay safe, take care of yourself, be useful to someone, and we'll see you in the next one.